12 learners. Welcome to today's Consumer Studies revision lesson. My name is Lillian Dube, and this lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. Today, grade 12s, we are revising the topics clothing and food and nutrition, right? The objectives for today's lesson is that we need to revise questions from past exam papers on clothing and food and nutrition. Right, learners? We have already covered the topics that is on clothing and food and nutrition. So we are going to start with the short questions, that is multiple choice questions. We need to read the instructions first, right? It says various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number. Right, let's read our number one. Says, one of the following can help prevent foodborne diseases. That is A, eat healthy. B, drink plenty of water. C, wash your hands after using the toilet. And D, visit the doctor more often. Right, let's answer 1.1 and then we move on to 1.2. Right, our 1.2 says the term style can be described as A, the subtle changes that distinguish items from each other. B, the unique combination of line, color, and texture. C, a fashion that is suddenly popular. And D, an exclusive fashion item. Right, let's answer 1.2. Right, we go on to our 1.3 says, a characteristic that distinguishes a fashion fad from a classic style is A, style appropriate for old people. B, timeless style. C, style with sudden popularity. And D, style appropriate for most people. Right, answer 1.3. We go on to 1.4. It says dash adds to the color of some potato chips. A, lecithin. B, tartrazine. C, sodium benzoate. And D, aspartame. Right, we move on to our 1.5. Says food additives will improve the taste of food, or food additives that will improve the taste of food. That is A, monosodium glutamate and antioxidants. B, antioxidants and aspartame. C, sweeteners and monosodium glutamate. And D, aspartame and lecithin. Right, let's answer 1.5 and then we move on. Our 1.6 says dash is or are the illegal copying of an original clothing item. A, parallel imports, B, black goods, C, brand piracy, and D, grey goods. Right, let's answer that one and move on. Right, we go to 1.7 says dash is an example of an eco-friendly fabric. A, acrylic, B, hemp, C, nylon, and D, polyester. Right, let's answer 1.7 and move on to 1.8. Right, 1.8 says dash can possibly cause hyperactivity in children. A, tetrazine, B, antioxidants, C, sulfur dioxide, and D, emulsifiers. Right, answer that one. We move on to 1.9. Says identify the food additive that changes the original color of flour to white. A, stabilizers, B, colorants, C, bleaches, and D, emulsifiers. Right, let's answer 1.9 and then we'll go to 1.10, which is our last one. Right, we go on to 1.10 says the emblem below shows us that the food is A, organic, B, irradiated, C, genetically modified, and D, sustainable. Right, let's answer the last question, which is 1.10, and then we can go to the solutions. Let's move on to the answers. Right, we'll start with our 1.1 says one of the following can help prevent foodborne diseases. Right, we need to always wash our hands after using the toilet. So our answer there is C. Always wash your hands after visiting the toilet because our hands carry a lot of microorganisms that we transfer to our food through the hands that are not clean. Right, and then we go to 1.2 says the term style can be described as, that is A, the subtle changes that distinguish items from each other. That's style, right? Then our answer is A. Let's move on to 1.3. It says the characteristic that distinguishes a fashion fad from a classic style is a timeless style. Classic styles are timeless, so our answer is B. And they always remain in fashion. Remember that. Right? Then 1.4 says dash add to the color of some potato chips. Right? Our answer there is tartrazine. Tartrazine adds to the color of some potato chips. It is used also as a flavorant, right? It gives color and flavor to the potato chips, right? Then let's go on to 1.5. It says food additives that will improve the taste of food are We have got sweeteners and monosodium glutamate. So our answer there is C, sweeteners and monosodium glutamate. Right, let's go on to 1.6. Says dash is or are the illegal copying of an original clothing item. We call that brand piracy. So brand piracy is the illegal or copying of an original clothing item, and our answer is C. We move on to 1.7, says dash is an example of an eco-friendly fabric. Right? Our answer there is B, which is hemp. Hemp is one of the eco-friendly fabrics. They do not destroy our environment. They are biodegradable and they can easily be disposed of. Right? And then 1.8, dash can possibly cause hyperactivity in children. So our answer is A, tartrazine can cause hyperactivity in children. Right, let's go on to 1.9. Identify the food additive that changes the original color of flour to white. We have got bleaches as our answer. We said flour can be bleached after milling because it comes with a yellowish color. So after bleaching, it becomes white and it improves the baking qualities of flour. So bleaching improves the baking quality of our flour. Right? And then the last one is 1.10. Says the emblem below shows us that the food is irradiated. Our answer is B. Remember, this is called a Radura emblem. If you see any food with this emblem, it means that the food is what? Is irradiated. This is when they use radio waves to destroy the microorganisms in the food. Right, we are done with our multiple choice questions and I'm hoping you guys got everything correct. Right, let's move on to our next question. That is question 1, says choose the correct the question term in the box that matches the description given below. Right, so I'll read out the question terms in the box for you. We have got the term design, we have got high fashion, we have got silhouette, we have got fashion trend, we have got fashion, we also have got classic fashion and fashion fad. I want you to also read those terms before we go to the questions. Please go through the terms just a few minutes. Right, let's move on to our questions. Question 1.1 says, a new garment that is worn by a few leaders. So you must choose one of the terms that matches the statement. And then point 2 says the outline of a garment. Point 3, the individual differences in style. Point 4, a style which remains popular and is worn over a long period of time. And point 5 says accepted style worn by many people during a specific period. Right? Let's match with the terms. I'll give you a few minutes to do that and then we can go to our solutions. Right, let's move on to our answers. The first one says, a new garment that is worn by fashion leaders is called high fashion, right? That's our 1.1. And then 1.1.2 says, the outline of a garment. We call the outline of a garment a silhouette, right? And then point 3 says the individual differences in style. We call that a design. We design different styles. So that is differences in styles are called designs, right? We move on to 1.1.4 says a style or accepted style worn by many people during a specific period, we call that fashion, right? That's 1.4. And then our 1.5 says a style which remains popular and is worn over a long period. We call it classic style. Apparently, classic style remain in fashion for a very long time, right? And then the next one, we go to our question 1.2. It says, choose an example of an additive that matches the function of the additive. Right, I will read out the additives to you. We have got glucose as an additive. We've got ascorbic acid. We have got gelatin. We've got turmeric. We've got lecithin. We've got aspartame and sulfur dioxide. I also want you to read through the additives and then we can go to the questions. Let's read through the additives. Right, let's go to our questions. We have got a non-nutritive sweetener. So remember, you're supposed to choose one additive which is a non-nutritive sweetener. And then we also have got an antioxidant. You must choose which one is an antioxidant from the list above. And then chemical preservatives. And the last one is an emulsifier. So choose one of the additives that match the statement that is given below or that matches the function. Right, I'm hoping we are done. Let's move on to the answers. Right, they are the additives. So a non-nutritive sweetener is aspartame. And remember, we find aspartame in Coca-Cola. It gives it that sweet taste. So it doesn't have any nutritive value. It's just a sweetener. And then an antioxidant is ascorbic acid, right? Antioxidant is ascorbic acid. And then another name for ascorbic acid is vitamin C. We call vitamin C ascorbic acid. Right, and then chemical preservatives, we have got sulfur dioxide. It is an example of a chemical preservative. We also have got sodium benzoate as a chemical preservative as well, but it's not listed there. Right, and then an emulsifier is lecithin. Right, let's move on to our next question. Right, it says, name of food additive and then the function of the food additive and the food example. So the name of the food additive is nitrates, tartrazine, and sugar. So we are supposed to give the function of the food and the food example. Right, so let's go on. The answers are already there. For nitrate, the function of nitrate as a food additive, it acts or it works as a preservative, right? And then the food example, where nitrates are used, is smoked meat, right? And then we also have got tartrazine. What is the function of tartrazine? It is used as a colorant, right? And the food example is we find tartrazine in cold drinks and potato chips or the crisps, the dried potato chips. Remember, we also said tartrazine causes hyperactivity in children, right? And then sugar is a flavorant. Where do we use sugar? We use it in cakes and sweets. There is more examples for flavorants. I want you to add more. Right, let's move on to the next question. It says, study the pictures and answer the questions that follow. Right, we've got the first picture there. It's a 1950s fashion. 1950s fashion. And then the next one is 2024 fashion. Right, let's take a look at the pictures, just study them briefly, and then we can move to our questions. Right, we move on to the questions. 1.3.1 says, name the type of fashion style that is inspired by past designs. And then 1.3.2 says, identify the outfit representing 2024 fashion is a classic or fad outfit. And then you must justify your answer. And point 3 says, discuss why the 2024 outfit is a good choice as basic item for a woman's working wardrobe. And point 4 says, explain how being well dressed for work could influence a person's self-esteem when dealing with clients. Right? I'll give you a few minutes to answer the questions and then we can move on to our solutions. Right, I'm hoping we are done. Let's go to our answers. 1.3.1 says, name the fashion, the type of fashion style that is inspired by past designs. We call that retrospective fashion. When we talk about in retrospect, this is when our fashion designers look into the past, or they are inspired by designs from the past, and then they design something that suits the present using the past designs, or they develop the current designs from the past designs. So we call that retrospective fashion. Right, and then 1.3.2 says, identify if the outfit representing 2024 fashion is a classic or fad outfit. Then you must justify your answer. Remember, justification is giving reasons why you are saying that. Right, so the 2024 outfit is classic, it's a classic style, and classic styles are timeless. It means they remain in fashion for as long as they are there. And classic styles suit many people. Most people can wear classic styles, right? And then we go on to our next question, says, discuss why the 2024 outfit is a good choice as basic item for a woman's working wardrobe. So the 2024 outfit comes in a green color. It's a basic color that is apparently in fashion. Then it is also a classic style. It also complements the body shape. It is also a good fit that could fit anybody else despite their body shapes. Also, the garment coordinates classic style shoes. It coordinates well with classic style shoes. Right? We move on to 1.3.4 says, explain how being well dressed for work could influence a person's self-esteem when dealing with clients. Right? If you are well dressed for work, it provides a feeling of confidence and boosts your self-esteem. Also, it reflects a good image for the company. Clothing symbolizes values and behavior. And the person will not feel vulnerable when wearing the correct clothes. Right, learners? We have always said that clothing is the language that communicates, or it communicates silently to the people that you meet. People tend to judge us with the clothes that we are wearing. If you are not well dressed, you know that today I am not well dressed. And once you are not well dressed, you tend to lose your confidence, you lose your self-esteem. But if you are well dressed, it gives you lots of confidence and it also boosts your self-esteem. You can easily say anything or say something that has got sense as long as you know that you're confident about yourself. You are also confident with the way that you are dressed up. Right, let's move on to our next question. It says, read the following benefits of bamboo and answer the questions that follow. Right? The benefits of bamboo are, it is extremely soft, it is hypoallergenic, it is antibacterial, it is super absorbent, highly breathable, free of harmful chemicals, very fast drying, it is resistant to odors, bacteria and mold resistant. It is thermoregulating. It prevents skin irritation and it is biodegradable. Right, I'll give you a chance to also read through the benefits and then we can go to the questions. Right, let's move on to our questions. Question 1.4.1 says, describe why bamboo is an eco-friendly fabric. Point 2 says, evaluate why bamboo makes an excellent fiber for sport clothing. And point 3 says, state if bamboo is a sustainable textile, and also justify your answer. Right, a few minutes for you there, and then we can move on to the solutions. Right, I hope we are done. Let's move on to the answers. The first question says, describe why bamboo is an eco-friendly fabric. Bamboo is manufactured or it is grown without the use of pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. So these pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers are not friendly to our environment. So these are not used when bamboo is being planted, right? And then 1.4.2 says, evaluate why bamboo makes an excellent fiber for sports clothing. Looking at the description that we were given of the bamboo fiber, it absorbs moisture. It is also antibacterial, meaning it doesn't allow bacteria through it. Also, it is anti-allergenic. There is no allergens. Most people who are allergic to fabrics are not allergic to the bamboo fabric. And then it is also anti-static. Anti-static meaning it doesn't feel clammy when you are wearing it, or it doesn't cling to the body, right? So it makes a very excellent fiber for sports clothing, right? Let's move on to 1.4.3 says, state if bamboo is a sustainable textile, and you must justify your answer, right? Yes, it is sustainable. Please take note that this question comes in two parts. So you are supposed to answer part one of the question, which says, state if bamboo is sustainable. Do not forget to always say, yes, it is sustainable. Or if the answer is no, then you write, no, it is not sustainable. Then the justification part of the answer is that bamboo is grown and produced in an environmentally friendly way. This means that they are made from a renewable plant that yields good crops, right? It also requires less water. So sustainable means we can use it over and over again for the future generation, and the future generation will find something, right? Let's move on to our question 1.5 says, read the following advert and answer the questions that follow. It's an advert of Virgin City Fields, right? It says, Virgin City Fields is an organic urban farm in the south of Johannesburg. It's a family business owned by Daniel and Nicole Pyers. We are an online store that provides high quality foods that are conveniently delivered to your door. We believe in sustainable farming methods that benefit your health and the environment. We also work with other local farmers to bring everything you needed in one store. Let us bring the farm to you, right? I'll also allow you to read the advert again, and then we can go to the questions. Right, I'm hoping we are done. Let's go to our questions. Our question 1.5.1 says, briefly describe organic foods. And point 2 says, give advantages and disadvantages of organic farming or of organic food. And point 3 says, Virgin City Foods chooses to work with local farmers. Supply two advantages for this choice. Right, let's answer 1.5.1 to 1.5.3, and then we can go to the solutions. Right, I'm hoping we are done. Let's move on to our answers. Right, firstly, we are supposed to briefly explain organic food, right? Organic food is food produced using farming practices that avoid the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. So instead, organic farming uses natural fertilizers. Instead of synthetic fertilizers, they use natural fertilizers like manure from the cow dung. They also use maybe leaves that have been buried. They do compost heaps whereby they bury food remains in the ground. When they've decomposed, they use that as their fertilizers, right? And then organic farming emphasizes the use of natural methods to control pests and diseases and to improve the health of our soil. So the natural methods that are used to control pests, some of them use ashes. They burn ashes and they use those ashes to control pests on their plants. So that's organic food, right? And then we go on to the next one. Says give advantages and disadvantages of organic food. So we'll start with the advantages first. Organic food does not use synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, or hormones. And remember, these synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and hormones might have an effect on our health in the future. At the moment, we don't know exactly how they affect us, but in the near future, we might discover that they are the ones that cause some types of cancer in people, right? And then crop rotation to preserve arable land for the following year, right? What is crop rotation? This is when they plant one type of, let's say they plant maize this year, and then next year they plant sugar beans, and then the following year they leave the land, they don't plant anything, they leave it like that, and then plant it again the following year. That's what we call crop rotation, right? And then also organic food has better flavor. Also, waste like manure is used. It also supports for sustainable agriculture. Apparently, synthetic fertilizers tend to degrade the land with time, right? Compared to the natural fertilizers. Right, so those are the advantages of organic foods. Then let's go on to the disadvantages. Right, disadvantages is that it is labor intensive. There is a lot of labor that is needed when you plant organic foods. It is also an expensive method, right? Trying to gather the leaves and the crop remains can come a bit expensive than just buying synthetic fertilizers from the shops. So crops can also be a smaller size, and the fruits may have blemishes on them. They are not as smooth as the inorganic ones. They have blemishes on them because they are being eaten by the what? By the insects. And then also their shelf life is shorter. They can easily spoil, right? So those are the disadvantages of organic food, right? Let's move on to the next question. Says Virgin City Foods chooses to work with local farmers. Supply two advantages for this choice, right? Let's go to the answers. If you work with local farmers, it means the product will be fresh. Why? Because the delivery or the distance between the farm and the people that are being supplied is very close. So the product will reach their point of sale while they are still fresh. We also have to support local businesses. That helps to boost our economy. It also creates job opportunities for the local people. That's another point. Also, the products are free from pesticides and herbicides. Like I said, we don't even know the effect of these synthetic chemicals that are used on the food that we consume in our daily lives. Also, it is less harmful to the human. So it's natural food and it is less harmful to any human beings. Right? We move on to the next question. It says, study the picture below and answer the questions that follow. Right? I'm sure you can see the picture there. It's a tomato with two injections on the tomato. And the tomato looks really big. It looks like a pumpkin, right? And then let's go to the questions. It says, name the process illustrated in the picture above. What process is that? Right? That's our 1.6.1. And then we move on to the next question. Says, name two benefits for this procedure for sustainability of food in South Africa. Right? And question 1.6.3 says, list the benefits of this procedure for the consumer. Right, I'll give you a few minutes to answer the questions and then we can move to the answers. Right, let's move on to our solutions. Right, number one says, name the process illustrated in the picture above. So this is genetically modified food. We call them the GMO, genetically modified food, right? And then the next question says, name two benefits for this procedure for the sustainability of food in South Africa, right? So the answer says, crop yields more quantity, therefore more people are fed. So that's one advantage of genetically modified foods, is that more people are fed because the crops actually yield more. And also they are cheaper than organic foods. Genetically modified foods come very cheap and there is plenty that is produced in a short space of time. Right, then let's go to the next question. Says, list the benefits of this procedure for the consumer. Right, it is cheaper for us consumers and it has a longer shelf life. When you buy the tomatoes, they would stay for almost 2 weeks without spoiling. It is also safe to eat and it comes with better flavor and color, right? That's how it benefits us as consumers, right? Let's move on we go on to the summary of today's lesson. We said fashion is the style accepted by a specific group of people at a given time and place. Style is the specific characteristic that makes one product or item different from another. And we said classic styles are timeless and are always considered as tasteful. And fashion trends are the directions in which fashion moves. And we said genetically modified foods help with food sustainability in South Africa. Right? Retofs, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson.